So I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Rand Dunnigan. And we're still kind of in our makeshift podcasting situation. But give it another month and we're probably sounding back to normal.
Yeah, we're kind of I'm like podcasting on the road out and down the hill and so on like that. So I'm doing it from the car and I'm sort of doing it off the phone, and it's one of those ones where it's like, you just want to get that setup right so you can see everything and all that good stuff, and then your end, you just look like you're just like almost like the villain in the movie when you can't like see your like profile, and it's that thing where it's like, it's got like the deep voice put over the top, and like, give us $15 million or like the children will die.
Did you hear me, Liam Neeson? Yeah, no. It's kind of like, well, it's also one of those things like I don't have a proper microphone yet, and I noticed last time the microphone kept on rubbing against the shirt, and I don't want to do that, so I have to sit here in this weird pose. I'm just kind of like, so here are your options: save the girl or your best friend. So
yeah, give it the old Batman Forever ultimatum.
Yeah.
But no, we're going at it. We got we just had DCU's just like, hey, you know what? We haven't dropped something in a moment, but we're gonna give you all kinds of crap all at once, like almost a little too much. And then it's like, and then to top it off, we're gonna, because you thought you had too much DC. But by the way, we also have a Mortal Kombat movie that came out at the same time too. So get that checkbook out, fellas.
I haven't seen the Mortal Kombat one. The first Mortal Kombat, the animated one with Scorpion one, that one was badass. But I didn't see the other ones yet. I got to check it on those.
Yeah, well, I bought the third Mortal Kombat one. It came in, but I just haven't got around to watching it yet. But no, those Mortal Kombat ones. I don't know what's the third one focus on.
Okay, because the second one was Liu Kang or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think the second one was Liu Kang, and then this one's probably, I don't know, Kung Lao or something. I can't remember who's on the cover, but yeah, it's like they've all been pretty darn good. So, it's just kind of cool that they're kind of doing it, but they do feel like they're sort of there in the background. Like, I don't know, Warner Bros. Does that thing where they'll advertise some stuff pretty heavily, and then there's some stuff they'll just like shoot out, like, you know what I mean? Like, just drop this off in the morning, okay?
Yeah, well, right now they're in a weird transitional period, and it looks like they're doubling down on DC, but like, today it was announced, or yesterday it was announced that James Gunn is now James Gunn and somebody else. I don't know who the other guy is, but James Gunn and some other guy are more or less the Kevin Feige's of DC moving forward. So, and it's not just like, oh, it's DC. It's not like, oh, we're making DC like property. It's like, no, we have a division now, DC Films. So, they're really trying to go full force with this.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's one of those ones. I think, if they just keep it going, keep the DCU animated stuff going out, you know what I mean? I think that's like the strongest thing they've always had, is that DCU animated section. And it's cool that they expanded into like stuff like Mortal Kombat. It'd be neat to see them expanded even more things.
So leading into this, would you want to start with the Super Sons movie or Black Adam?
I don't care. I'm down for any of them. You choose.
How about we start with Super Sons? Because I feel like my feelings on that are more of like, kind of more like concise. I liked it, but it's one of those movies where I'm just kind of, and keep in mind, I really like the Super Sons. I had the first 3 volumes of the series, and I really liked it, but it was also one of those things where I'm just kind of like, this movie, it wasn't bad, but I feel like it was one of those cases where it could have used probably another like 20 or 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Just because it felt so rushed, but what they had going was good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I enjoyed this one more than I almost even thought I was going to. I think this one of those ones like, cool, Super Sons. It's like, this will be a good one. You know what I mean? And when watching it, I was like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty darn impressive. I like all the characters. Everybody it's got just a light amount of comedy, but the action's still good. I mean, you're literally going to watch like children get beat by adults like more than you probably see in almost any movie. And, yeah, it's even like it had the weird kind of uncanny animation at first when you're like, oh, they went full CG with this instead of doing like a 2D animation. But at the same time, I was like, after about like 5 to 10 minutes of watching, I'm like, it's not too bad though. I mean, I would prefer 2D standard animation, but the CG cell shade thing, it didn't look bad.
Yeah, no, I think that there was this thing when a little jarring when you first see it, but then your eyes just kind of adjust to it. And is it my preferred form of animation? No, but I mean, there are ones where it looks good. Like if you bring the budget to it, like Arcane on Netflix, or Into the Spider-Verse, or the other
Uh-huh.
Netflix, that Kid Cudi movie, Intergalactic. Like if you kind of bring it into that, then I think it kind of shows more. But this does feel not as like clunky as like the Berserk reboots, from a few years back, but or like a
Yeah.
lot of the straight to Netflix animes or anything like that. But because the character designs actually still look pretty cool. They don't look so flat and generic.
Yeah, it doesn't just look like straight CG. I mean, it's not like 2D, but like I don't know, it still kind of worked in this one here, and I mean, it's kind of like when you watch like Beware the Batman or like the Green Lantern one. I know that was another one too, where like it took about 3 to 4 episodes before you kind of like accepted it, So there's that kind of momentary kind of jarringness, but. And the one thing I just hope is I hope this is not me like, cool, this is our new way to do it, because then it just feels like, no, 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 you better get somebody to hand draw this. Well, we did a couple frames like that. No, no, a couple frames doesn't count. Whole frames.
I feel like it's probably something to the effect of where they're like, you know what, let's give this team over here a break and let's hire like another studio or build another, buy another studio or something. I kind of got that vibe from it, but
I think so.
I'll say that I mean, no, I don't want to be this guy. I do like the comic more. That said, because they really go out of their way. Because the thing about the comic when it opens up, at least what I read, by now, John Kent, Superman's son, he is in the comics by this point a teenager. So that's already kind of like he's already kind of going through his moody phase. But when I jumped into the comics, he was like 11 or 10, and he was just that very cool, like happy, optimistic kid. He wasn't perfect, but he was a happy, optimistic kid that really loved his parents and thought it was so cool. His dad was Superman and was very understanding. The thing that he was upset about is that they're moving to Metropolis, and he loved living in Smallville. So that was a
Yeah.
part of it. And, he was bullied and he had to watch himself, but it was like this very nice kid that you just couldn't help but like. And this, he's not bad. He's not bad, but opens up like, oh, reading. What's the point of journalism? Oh, like, okay, all right, we get it. We get it. And then there's the whole kind of like Disney dad thing they do with Superman.
Oh, yeah.
But after a while, as soon as what I like about it, as soon as he realizes, oh, you're Superman. Yeah, I get it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Zach, I'm glad that it's not like one of those ones the whole time. He's like, Dad, why weren't you there for my baseball game? Why weren't you there for my graduation? Like, getting like a jingle all the way thing. Be like, son, I have important shit to do. And if you would just mind your fucking business and sit on your hay pile, call it a day. But at least it was one of those ones where like it wasn't so bad. But at first I was like, oh no, is he gonna be that kid? Is he gonna be the stupid little bitchy kid, who gets everything, and then he's so pissed off just because his dad's not there because somebody's gonna pay the fucking bills,
Yeah, like in the comic, I think, because keep in mind, it's a comic I read probably like 5 years ago or more. Like Superboy or like John wants to go do superheroing, but his parents like, no, you're too young. You got to give it time. And Robin actually recruits him because he's like, you know what? I actually think there's a job I need your strength for. He says, can I join the Teen Titans? No, you got to be a teenager to be Teen Titans. But I'm older than you. Yeah, but I'm a trained assassin. So what are you gonna do? So it's kind of like he still is like the thing of it is kind of like the happy, optimistic kid who has all the raw strength, but then the kid who has all the smarts. So they still have that dynamic.
Yeah, Zach. Well, I like the dynamic that they sort of had. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Robin being the Mr. Know-It-All, though not all the time he do know it all. And I even like when he's like talking shit to like the Teen Titans, and they're like, you know what, Robin, we're kind of sick and tired of you. We loved Tim Drake. We did. Everybody loved him. In fact, there's nobody I know who doesn't like Tim Drake. He's like the greatest guy ever. It's kind of a shame that he's been cornered. But yeah, we don't want you on here.
Isn't that right, guys? He turns the phone around the whole like Team Titans like, yeah, we like Tim Drake. Just anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so new Robin, you're a little too violent. You know what I mean? Fucking, you shoved Beast Boy's head to the toilet the other day. Why? We don't know. I know Beast Boy's, who he is, but still, you know what I mean?
We've all been tempted to do it, but at the same time, boundaries.
Yeah, you covered Kid Flash in oil so that when he went running at super speed, he wasn't going anywhere. You're doing some weird shit. That's all we gotta say. So yeah, you can't be in here. He's like, yeah, fine, whatever. I don't fucking need you guys. You know what I mean? I'll start my own awesome team instead.
The other day, you're trying to pull to Aqualad, you're trying to do that thing that Emilio Estevez did in Breakfast Club that got him in Saturday School in the first place. Which, first off, fucking weird. Secondly, he's Aqualad. He knows what the fuck he's doing. What were you thinking?
Yeah, do you think duct tape on his ass was gonna be? I mean, like, how much hair is he gonna have? He's under the water.
Yeah, really. Come on. But
that part was always so weird in like the Breakfast Club. I remember like when I like seeing that felt to me, it's like people fucking do that. They just fucking like put some duct tape on some guy's ass in the locker room. Like, Jesus, you gotta be careful, I guess, when you go to like high school.
Well, wasn't it something like I haven't seen the movie in a while, and I know tangent side note, but wasn't there like didn't they say something like we held him down and then we pulled his pants down and we pulled the duct tape? I mean, I feel like when that happens, they go to duct tape. You think there's a little percentage of your brain that goes, oh, okay, all right, it's just the duct tape, okay. And if you're getting duct tape, if Emilio Estevez is slapping duct tape on your ass and then ripping it, I'm assuming by then you've probably been bullied worse. There's other things by then that have happened.
Well, yeah, it just seems like such a weird one. Like, what are you guys gonna do? Oh, well, we're gonna bleach his fucking asshole for him. It's just like one of those ones. Like, you know what? I want it when he's out on the fucking beach. I want him wearing a thong, and I want those ass cheeks fucking shimmering in the fucking sun. Like, what the fuck? No, no, no. He's not gonna be fucking covered up like he's gonna go on a snow adventure.
Well, the thing about it is, it's like
no hairy asses in this school.
It's two things about that. One is either John Hughes had to hear someone say that, like, did you hear happen to Mike the other day? Oh, what happened to Mike? Like chess club leader Mike. In that, or it's like something to the effect of like, he says, what's something really weird and fucked up?
I really believe that it is something real because I feel like that's something like I feel like that has to be like a real thing that like someone heard about. Like, I don't think that's just not one you make up.
Yeah. Well, regardless, Robin got booted off the Teen Titans for doing something like that. So
yeah, exactly. What I like is also like in this movie, like there's like when Superboy's like stand up to his bully, and then he just gets laid out thinking that because he had super strength, he was going to have super invulnerability. And I love how like the principal or the guidance counselor is like, what are you doing? Like Jake over there or whatever, like he's got some real issues he's going through. You're pretty fucked up for trying to like bully this guy, right? He's like, what? He was the guy bullying me. He's like, come on now, John. Come on now. Look at him. He doesn't even have a father. His father went out to get a pack of cigarettes when he was 6. He's never come back. He's messed up to the brim. He might not ever recover. How about you be the friend? You stand up. I saw that once like, no, fuck that guy. I don't want to be his friend. He's an asshole. He's always going to be an asshole, probably.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I remember being in elementary school and middle school, and there were those kids that start off as assholes, and once you, I don't know, get into a fight with them or you talk enough shit back to them, they eventually warm up to you. That doesn't. Or
you duct tape their ass.
Or option D or E, yeah. But the thing is, that is so rare where you actually become friends with them. There were those times where you and someone else hated each other, and then after time you just like, I don't know, you just accept each other for whatever reason. But that was so fucking rare. So I always get a little annoyed in movies whenever there's the bully. Like, he has no redeemable qualities. He's not likable. It gives you no reason to like him. And then in the third act, he does something slightly noble, and he's like, maybe I should change my ways. And he suddenly becomes like their ways where they didn't do it right, but too often they do it with no buildup or like there's nothing deeper to the character. And I like how this movie is just like, no, fuck him. He's an asshole. Why do I got to do all the fucking work?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like one of those ones. I just like how John just realized, like, oh, I just got to say I am going to be his friend to get out of here, and then that's it. Guidance counselor's done. But yeah, no, I always feel it's like one of those ones. Like, I mean, there's like Flash Thompson's one of the few that I feel like in Spider-Man kind of comes around as time goes on. But he's more of like a lovable bully in a weird way. Like I feel Flash Thompson's kind of that guy where you're like, yeah, he's a dick, but he does do some funny shit here and there.
Yeah, Flash Thompson. You get I know you don't really watch this show, but then there was like Steve and Stranger Things, who started off as like a
Uh-huh.
bully, but then as the show went on, he became one of the like best written characters. So there are the exceptions, but I feel like those exceptions are few and far between. Majority of the time, like I just kind of like how it says some people just fucking suck, and I like how the thing when Robin sees them like. So we're gonna go round two, and he just pokes him like in the chest, and he just like he'll be fine. When's he gonna get
Yeah,
up in a week? He just keeps walking.
yeah, just punches him right in the face and everything like that. You know what I mean? But I did think that was kind of funny, just the way that it's almost like that's like the changing of times where it's like, oh, before it's like, you know what, you gotta stand up to that bully, and that guy on the couch like, no, 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 be friends. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you do gotta get some duct tape on the ass. What? No, you just saying, it happens from time to time. It's not an uncommon occurrence. Believe me, I'm a guidance counselor.
It happened to me.
I see a lot of shit. Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to backtrack too far, but I want to say one quick little thing. With the very beginning, when they're zooming in on a planet and it's all like green, like, oh, why are we starting off in Oa? And then you realize it's Krypton, and then you immediately think, fuck again? I fucking know. I just saw Super Pets on HBO Max the other day. We opened on that too. We fucking get it. So I'm just kind of like, and it had nothing to do because Starro slaps to the side of the ship, but it's not like he needed to get there that way because he goes in and attacks the watchtower from space anyway. So he could have just hanging out on a fucking rock and got there. We don't. Why and like there isn't like this big major comparison between there isn't this big parallel line between Superman, how he got to Earth, and then John. I understand maybe there's kind of like he landed here, he was born here, but at the same time, there's not that big comparison. And if you're watching something called by this point, if you're watching the Super Sons, you fucking know.
You know what's up. This is not going to be your first rodeo right here.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I still like this movie, but that part, I was like, really, again?
Yeah, exactly. No, I remember when it was starting out. I'm like, I wonder what this is. At first, I was thinking like, well, maybe they're gonna do something different. No, no, not really. Oh, he's loading them in there. Plans blowing up. Everything. Like, oh, like he happened to have a Starro. He's like, here, take this cute little starfish with you, buddy. you know.
Yeah. Well, even that. Well, the thing about it is that thing that didn't even come back or play a role. I mean, he did, but he didn't need to be there because it's not like they show it crawling off the ship like, and like I'm gonna go cause mischief. Like it just he came in on a meteorite and hit like Krypton, hit the watchtower or some shit. So there's a million other ways he could have got there, but whatever. It's a small thing.
Yeah, it's not like it's like the end of the world kind of, but it is one of those ones where it's just like it's just a weird movie to place that in. It's one of those ones. When I saw that, I'm like, well, you know what that probably means is coming next. There's gonna be a Batman origin, and then there wasn't one of those.
They bypass it.
Yeah, it's almost like they animate all that stuff, and they're like, shit, fuck, we're not supposed to put these things in here. Well, we already, animated it, voiced it, did the whole shebang, leave it in there. We explain how Starro gets there. We can do it differently. Too late now.
We left the intern alone, and he was he was really eager to impress. But
yeah, he's one of those guys who really likes origin stories. He says he's retro because he's into the 2000s.
He hasn't seen anything past Batman Begins.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all that. But once that movie gets kind of rolling past that part, it's all pretty darn good. I feel like the action's there. There's a lot of good fighting. They choose some kind of interesting ones. I like how they just leave fucking Green Arrow up on like the fucking watchtower. He's the guy up there this time, like their rotational on call shifts.
Yeah. Like, and they also do the whole thing with like I'm wondering because it's a different style, but I think it may have been some of the same voices. I'm wondering if this is the same universe they've kind of set up, the new connected universe.
Yeah, see that because the animation was different, it made me feel like is this supposed? I feel like it's supposed to be almost more of a pocket episode or a pocket movie. Like I don't think it's supposed to be in the same ones as the other ones.
Just because I've been writing Green Arrow very similar lately, and he's always been a little bit of a smartass, but just the particular quips and jokes they give him, and I think that may have been the same voice actor, but I might be wrong there.
Yeah, well, that could probably be the same. I'm not saying that some of the things won't be the same, but I think just the overall, I think that one is its own. But yeah, and I just kind of like how as it goes on, Starro starts infecting everybody, and it looks great once everybody's getting infected and whatnot, and then they realize that John and Damien are the only two left, and they got to save everything by punching in its eye hole.
Well, that's also another thing about this is, and I'm not trying to like harp on this too long, but there's the whole thing with the origin story at the beginning. I'm surprised they put that in there, but then they have so many. I'm not going to say they're super deep cut characters, but they're characters the average audience probably would not know right off the bat. Like I think people know Robin, and I think a lot of people by now, a lot of people our age know that the new Robin is Batman's son. There's a lot of people who don't know that. And then they also have, they have Wonder Girl. They have the Teen Titans, and then they have like half the Justice League of they're fighting near the end. So, and then they jump over to Lex Luthor being president, which that's another thing that probably a lot of people don't know. So it's not like they're pulling like the deepest of deep cuts, but there's things that I'm like, oh, okay, we haven't seen this a bunch in animation. I was happy to see it,
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. There was some kind of stuff like the Lex Luthor being president was kind of surprised, and even like when Wonder Girl first popped up, I'm like, God, she almost never appears in these animated things. I'd like, you know what I mean? Like, it seems weird because it feels like that would be one of the characters you would use, but like, it's almost like she's not a Teen Titans regular when it comes to animated stuff. So it's kind of cool she was there. I felt like there was a couple other Teen Titans that were not, it wasn't just like your Cyborg, Beast Boy, Kid Flash, and so on. I don't know, like who the other one was there.
I mean, they had Calder, who's become more popular with the kids via Young Justice, who's Aqualad.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because he was there. Because it was also kind of an interesting one too. Is like they sort of had a partial like Justice League, and then also the Teen Titans were up there at the Watchtower when they go up there to face Starro and free everybody and whatnot.
In Crypto too.
Yes, and Crypto too as well. And maybe I don't know. And it's like that because then there's like I don't know if the beginning part's supposed to be in there because they go to like Fortress of Solitude, and then like Jor-El's there. He's like, hey, grandson, what's up? You never come to visit very often, I see. Just your old grandfather just walking around here all the time. Nobody comes to visit. Superman just leaves the dog. I have to clean his shit up all day long.
I'm a hologram, so it makes it hard to do.
Yeah, so it's like they stuck me in a home in the Antarctic, so he doesn't see me very often.
Don't bring up politics around him. Do not bring up politics.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, that's all I got anymore. Is I just got some satellite TV that Clark left here for me.
Oh shit! He's watching OAN again. Great.
Yeah, I got this time, and I think I know how I can run this country. Let me tell you. Okay, here he goes again. He's like, Grandpa, we just need to get in a rocket and fly to space to save the universe. Well, let me tell you how you're going to save the universe. Oh God, here he goes. No. We're going to get in this rocket. It was made for a baby, but two grown boys are going to try to fit in here together. It's going to be kind of gay, sort of like when you ride the Matterhorn at Disneyland and no one tells you how gay it's going to be, because when you and your best friend at age 15 have to ride nuts to nuts, practically, you're like, what the hell? So,
Dude,
see you, Grandpa. We're out of here.
If you say that to my grandpa, he is going to stop us from going. Like, whoa! No grandson of mine is. He's going to shut the whole thing down. Okay. He's going to start making us go to Kryptonian Christian school and pray it away. So we can't.
That was the downfall of Krypton is that not enough people are praying. You know what I mean? Like I was praying every day. I was praying to the science god, and it was all working out. But everybody else are just doing their thing. Thinking they could just live life.
If we prayed to Brainiac harder, we wouldn't be here today.
Exactly. Shit, I prayed to Star. I prayed to anything I captured. You know what I mean? Shit, you don't know what's going to kill you in the future. I'm one of those kind of guys. I'm very open to a lot of religions because, I don't want to be fucked by the time it's the end.
There's an end times coming. I just want to know which one it is. I got a bunch of index cards of what to do in each religion's apocalypse.
Exactly. Your grandfather's a smart. He's a smart guy. I know. Clark doesn't give me credit for that, but still, just saying.
The thing is, well, going back to this movie, when you really think about it, it is a very simple movie. Not a lot really happens.
No.
But I didn't realize it till after it was over, because really you have the introduction where John realizes. I mean, the first third of this movie is really John learning he has superpowers. Second is him like, oh wow, superpowers are really cool. And then the third is like, oh, Starro's taking over the world, and Robin and John got to work together. And there's only really a handful of fights. The action in it is pretty cool. I'll say it's interesting because it kind of bounces between like, a standard PG-13 adventure movie, and then it also bounces between feeling like a family film. I mean, at the end of the day, I think a family could watch this and not really feel like, oh, it's too bad. When the Starros on the faces explode and they just the eyes explode, a little bit more violent than I expected to, and a little bit more swearing, but nothing too bad.
Well, that's what it felt like. It's one of those ones. It sounds weird, like it kind of goes back and forth between being almost like a PG and a light R in a weird way. Like it's like it kind of, but just for like a moment, not enough to ever cross into anything, but just enough where you're like, oh, okay, this is not just like it's almost that one where it's once again, it's not like the kids one or anything like that, but it is that kind of thing where it's like, then it still has sort of like some horror movie elements to it.
Well, the way the Starro spores come out, and just like the jaw stretches out, and they crawl out with the extra tendrils and all that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, overall, I thought it was really fun, and it's one of those ones where it's like it is kind of like, I think it's just a thing to explain Jonathan Kent, the son. That's pretty much what this movie kind of is hey, if you didn't know who he is, we're giving you sort of the origin story here. You get to know who he is. He's got the Sonic the Hedgehog movie personality, which I notice is kind of becoming a trend now. Like that's the one, sort of like when they what's his name from Guardians of the Galaxy? Like you see that
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, because you'll see that like in other things too, where it's like use Chris Pratt as kind of like your character model.
Yeah.
But I noticed that like
they originally wanted Chris Pratt for the James Marsden character, so.
Yeah. So yeah, you can kind of see where like it's just that kind of like style. But I noticed the Sonic the Hedgehog is also the other one for like, if we're gonna have kind of a goofy kid, give him that Sonic the Hedgehog personality from the movie.
Yeah, and the thing with I didn't really notice the Sonic thing till you brought it up. But that's a good point. They like a lot of, if you need kind of like a energetic kid, then that is kind of like the template they're kind of going with lately. A kid who's kind of smarter. He's a kid, but he's talking smarter than how most kids really talk, really, at the end of the day. So
yeah, and he's got references to stuff almost more than anything.
Yeah. But this movie was fun. I liked it. I unfortunately I don't have any Blu-ray or nothing to watch it on in the house, so I had to download it digitally, unfortunately. So I don't know if there's any good special features or if they go into the next movie or anything like that.
The weird thing is that it's kind of light on the special features, so you're not missing out on too much. I mean, it has a Super Sons one that's like maybe 14 minutes long, and it's good. It just kind of gives you like the history of those characters and so on, and how they actually trace back in the 40s or whatever the heck it is. But
oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that part. So it's like apparently there's one of those, I guess, sort of Elseworlds or something like that, where
like
they
Earth
technically
2
had
or Earth 3 type shit.
Yeah, something like that. Back when they used to have all the dimensions and so on, like, and there was the Super Sons, which was like Batman had a kid and Superman had a kid. Whoever Batman's kid was at that time period, it wasn't Damian, but somebody else. But John Kent comes all the way from that section. So that was kind of neat there. So there was some neat things to kind of learn in it. But it was like, other than that, though, that was kind of it. Mostly, there's always like at least 2 documentaries or something like that. And then there's, they did have 2 episodes as always. But they didn't have hey, what's coming next? So that's why I feel like this movie was kind of slightly under the radar in a sense. I don't know. It's weird because it's a Batman-Superman movie, so you feel like it'd be as, top tier as possible.
I don't remember what they said then. I think they're doing I don't know why they would not show this. I heard they're doing a milestone one. They're doing one where all the milestone characters come together, like Static, Icon, Hardware. So
Oh, that'd be cool.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But who knows when that's coming out? So if it's coming out with all the fucking cuts they're doing to Warner Brother Animation right now.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But I guess
I don't,
speaking
I
of
don't mean
Warner
to,
Bros.
I don't mean to cut in, but is there like, do you have your phone by the recorder or anything?
What? Why? Is it
Oh,
picking up something?
I'm getting a lot of static on my end.
Okay, I don't. It's probably just the mic. That's the only thing I can kind of guess.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll deal with it. Okay. But anyway, yeah. So the next one.
Yeah, the next one's Black Adam, and we went into that one there. It's kind of like felt like it's been kind of a while since like they kind of just had a movie, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Black Adam. I was like, oh, I kept forgetting about it. So I got to be reminded about it, and then it would kind of wait. Oh, there it is again, and so on like that. And that's that kind of movie that when it first started off, and everybody's kind of like, when they first started, I was like, cool, Black Adam. I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to see it and so on like that. But then once it became like a Justice Society and Black Adam movie, I was like, well, that's actually kind of a cool way to go about it.
Real talk, I never really gave a shit for Black Adam. Not that I don't like him, I just don't really know enough about him. I just know him as he's the arch rival to Shazam, and he sometimes fights Superman.
Now, yeah, that's all I really knew too, so I couldn't tell you more there.
Now, the other thing about it was this was a movie that seemed to be more fueled by the star than the actual reason to exist. Now, he's apparently been an anti-hero since the 90s. Most things I've seen him in, he's always the villain. So his anti-hero like stature, I don't really know that well. And apparently at some point he does join the Justice Society. But anyway, going off that though, this movie, I still was looking forward to it just because Justice Society was in it. And when I first heard this movie was coming out and the Justice Society was in it, I thought it was going to be something like, oh, it's going through the ages and he kills them in the 40s or some shit like that. Like, oh no, they're here today. They're still doing shit. I will say, this movie maybe left me feeling like overall I liked the movie. I thought it was good, but I overall felt like a little mixed because there were things about it that were very different that really stood out, and there are other things. I'm like, are we in 2003? What's going on?
Yeah, it still does some of those things where, yeah, it is a little bit kind of like the old world of like superhero movies, but I felt overall it had a lot of good action in it. I mean, it's kind of like Super Sons where it's kind of simplistic in a sense. It's just Black Adam shows up, in the future or whatever to kind of fight this oppression, and the Justice Society's like, whoa, we got to make sure this guy doesn't go crazy because we have these extra texts that told us that, I know these people here in this town think this is their hero, but we're going to break their hearts real quick and tell them that the guy they've been worshiping for the last 10,000 years is actually kind of a dick.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, part of this is the marketing team's problem, but like, they do this. The marketing team did the thing on the trailers. It's like, my son sacrificed himself to save me, and then like you see the beginning of the movie, you see a kid like he became Black Adam, and I'm like, all right, well, he didn't die yet, so and I'm sure there's gonna be like a bait and switch of some sort, and it's gonna be like. It was just one of those things you should have left that out of the fucking trailer because that was kind of a twist.
Yeah.
That would have got me off guard. And you see kind of like they do the Chris Evans thing with The Rock. Like they put him on like they have his like ridiculously jacked body and they Photoshop his head onto not a weak emancipated guy, but a guy who's just in decent shape. He's not The Rock. He's just in decent shape,
Yeah, like a guy who does track and field. That's what it sort of felt like instead of a guy who was, WWE
so
superstar.
Howard. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird because it's like you look at that and it makes him look like he's so small. But I'm like, if that guy was standing next to anybody else without that rock head, you'd be like, that guy's in pretty good shape.
Yeah. So like I bet a lot of people swipe right on him, So
yeah, exactly. But since it's The Rock's body, it's like sort of when you watch. I think it's like the movie The Tooth Fairy. I remember like that one. It's like The Rock looks so tiny in that movie. It's like he almost looks like a child with like a man's head on.
I've never seen that one, believe it or not, but I'll take your
I've never seen it all the way through. It's just one of those ones I remember back in the day, just flipping through TV, and it was like, holy crap, how small is he? And it's not that he's out of shape. It's like he looks, he's just athletically shaped, but you're just so used to The Rock being massive.
Yeah, well, there's that period around, like, I mean, he was always in fantastic shape, but there's that period, like, around Fast and Furious 5, where he just got, like he looks like he had an elephant steak for breakfast,
Yeah, he just got bigger with each movie. I think that was kind of what it was. It went from being like, okay, he's like an athlete, and so on, to being like, okay, now he's becoming like bodybuilder size, and then it's almost like now he's becoming kind of like God size.
Well, like faster, even. You know what I mean? Like that movie. For me personally, I think that was a lot of people overlook that. I think that was a big comeback for him. But
I think so. I think that's actually probably might even be his best movie.
Yeah. Well, the simplicity of it is also just really good. But I just think it's kind of funny because it's one thing to be like, like there's a part where he kills the first guy and they're like, look at his face. That's recognition. That or a giant Samoan is like staring you down like he wants to murder you. Like whether he knows him or not, like what the fuck? And why do you use a gun? He could have just like stepped on him or something, But regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
Going back to this movie. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to go along with that there too. It's just one of those ones. But yeah, as you were saying.
Well, the thing about this movie is it does that thing where it's like, I feel like there's a lot of superhero movies with complicated lore do this now, but there's that thing where you kind of like, you have a kid giving you tons of exposition at the beginning. You go, so 500 years ago, all this stuff happened. They're looking for this weird mineral, and like the mineral thing, it's like that hardly played an effect in the overall movie. It was just basically his kryptonite, which sometimes they had it, sometimes they didn't. And the fact that there was a crown made out of that mineral was just kind of like secondary. And and then they have the whole thing where they're focusing on that, like, I got weird nitpicks for the movie. Like overall, I like the movie, and in time, I wouldn't mind owning it for my collection, just my DC collection. But overall, there are things about it that just seem kind of like, for being a movie that took like 10 years to make, I think there are things that need to be more thought out and more explained. Like Intergang is controlling this country. Intergang is like a third party, like Blackwater corporation. You mean to tell me no other governments or no superheroes came in to stop Intergang of all things?
Yeah.
They couldn't say something like our government hired Intergang to roll the streets. It's like, no, Intergang just came in. It was doing this. Like, and nobody did anything about that. Nobody.
Yeah, that's the thing. They kind of make it out, just be like, yeah, this has been going on for like years. No one seems to care. You know what I mean?
And like, I know there's like, I appreciate they're doing a movie where, I mean, it's like, not getting political, but I think it's just a good change of pace for superhero movies to do something where like, okay, this movie takes place in the Middle East and it's actually speaking on, hey, why don't these superheroes come here, or aka like, US government come here until there's something they need or they want. We've been under siege, we've been under attack for years, and you guys show up the second something slightly threatens you or inconveniences you,
And it's just almost like Hawkman's like, yeah, basically that's pretty much about it,
Yeah, but he's a dick. We have a tablet that says it, see?
Yeah, see, he's a dick. I mean, you don't want a dick running around. Yeah, but he's going to protect us. Yeah, but he's an ass. He just walks through fucking walls without using doors, and he knows what a door is. That's the worst part.
I'll say that the comedy in the movie didn't really bother me. I mean, the kid had some lame jokes here and there, but the comedy in it, like, cause it does that bouncing act between like trying to be a more modern DC film and trying to be like that Zack Snyder style DC film, because it does that thing where he is ultra dark, he is ultra serious, and it is intimidating, but then like somebody else is like, you need to tone it back, dude,
Yeah, it does have a bit. I mean, I think that's sort of how it is. It's like some of these movies are trying to, like, in a sense, stretch out the Zack Snyder-ness, but they're like, well, we were kind of already slightly convinced. We got to keep about like a 50-50 blend of that in there. You know what I mean? And because Shazam felt like that was one of the first ones that kind of go like, let's give it a different try. You know what I mean? This one's, it's connected, but it doesn't have to be really like in the same like tone or any of that kind of stuff.
If I had to compare this, I'd probably say it's like like, and I'm not saying this just because they have characters from both these movies pop in. I'm just saying it just from the setup and the kind of vibe they're going with. Even though I think Shazam and the Suicide Squad are better movies. At the same time, though, I think it's 25% of each of those movies, and then like 50% of like Man of Steel, because they still have the dark broodingness. They still have the like a lot of the slow mo and Zack Snyderisms. But then you have this kind of lightheartedness over here and kind of weird ensemble characters that, I'll be honest, I really don't know anything about Cyclone. I've heard of her, but I really don't know anything about her. I was excited to see Atom Smasher, Hawkman, and Dr. Fate.
Dr. Fate. Yeah. I felt like the Dr. Fate one was like, that's almost like one of the coolest parts. I mean, it's cool to have Hawkman, but we've seen Hawkman in many things before. But I feel like Dr. Fate's like one of those kind of ones where it's like, oh, that's actually kind of an awesome one to use him for like live action stuff. I guess granted, Hawkman's never been in live action.
I understand a lot of the comparisons people make Dr. Fate to Doctor Strange. However, I think this movie does a good job on their power set distinguishing the two, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think so too, you know? And just kind of going like, hey, he just sees multiple visions in the future and so on like that. And he's not too sure what's the exact one, you know what I mean? And just like that's kind of the sort of the issues he has to struggle with and so on like that. And the fact that he's been around like way longer than, you know, everybody else. He's like 100 plus years old, you know?
Well, yeah. I knew that either Hawkman or Dr. Fate, I knew one of them was going to die. But the second they weren't bringing up the whole thing that Carter Hall constantly reincarnates, because he's a, I mean, there's a bunch of different versions of his origin, but I guess the most common is he's a archaeologist that reincarnates, and he has all the past memories and all the past skills of previous lives. So ranging from an ancient Egyptian soldier to today, he has all that battle experience plus this, you know, cool weaponry technology to battle. So it's one of those things where, since they weren't bringing that up, I'm like, well, he's probably not going to die because they haven't said anything about his reincarnation. And then Dr. Fate was like being the Obi-Wan Kenobi figure. So I'm like, oh, that's what you're going to do. And plus, I mean, Pierce Brosnan, I'm going to say it, I think he's the best part of this movie. I mean, everybody else did a good job, but I think Pierce Brosnan is really the best part.
I agree with you there, too. I felt like that was definitely my favorite thing. And I think that's what kind of bummed me out, because I expected Hawkman to die, because I'm like, well, they're probably going to do that, like, oh, that's the surprise, and then they'll, you know, say how his origin is, because, you know, Hawkman can die multiple times. But then it was like, oh, well, they're doing that. They're getting rid of the old guy. I felt like that was what it was getting down to. It's like, nah, he's old. He's been around. You know, they're doing that kind of thing. Like, well, I like the idea when the old guy's like, no, fuck you guys. I don't care if I'm older than you guys. I don't want to die. You die. Well, fucking Hawkman over here can come back. I can't.
Well, I guess that's the thing, because when you think about it, because, yeah, Pierce Brosnan's a bit older now, but at the same time, I guess that's what 20 years does. You don't really always think about it. But to me, he's still the guy from GoldenEye. You know, he's still Bond to me in that aspect. I still think of him as that. So I just think of like, oh, that's makeup and prosthetics. He's not that old, you know, but it's one of those things where he came in and he was like, they gave him some goofy, like, superhero bullshit to say, and he said it with such conviction and so sternly. I was like, he's fucking selling this movie. I'm kind of, and the thing is, he's older, but he's not like super old, but old enough to be like, yeah, I don't want to be contractually obligated to be doing superhero movies for the next 10 years. So I'll come in for this one, you know, and the helmet's probably going to go on to a younger, hotter person, probably, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I think that's sort of how it is for a lot of people. It's like, hey, I want to do one superhero movie and that's it. You know what I mean? I just want to say I'm a character and I'm done. You know, and I mean, it's logical. Like, it's one of those ones, like the Dr. Fate going, it's not like one of the ones, like, I don't feel like that was like, oh, man, that just kind of ruins it. It kind of bums me out, but I kind of go, I mean, it makes sense story-wise and character-wise and actor-wise that, like, why you would do it like this and so on. You know, because Hawkman, I think, is like one of those ones, like, he's almost like the other main kind of takeaway from this. That's like, well, you're going to use him as one of the major characters now, because now people kind of have an idea who he is. So now you can slip him into, like, the Justice League and everything.
Yeah, the other thing about Hawkman was, even though I really liked Hawkman and I thought the guy playing him did a good job, there was a few points near the end where he's just like, "Hey, you can't be doing that! Like, the fuck you gonna do about it, dude? Really? Like, you got a few good hits on me, but now I see him coming. What the fuck are you gonna do about it? Oh, just you wait and see." And like, I know it's Black Adam's movie, so he's got to be right. He's gonna be the cool guy in the room, but and I don't know enough about Black Adam to know, well, would he beat down Hawkman? But at the same time, though, I still like this character. I still thought overall he did a good job, and I look forward to. I don't know if they're gonna give a Justice Society movie, but I look forward to these characters popping up one way or another.
Yeah, I almost feel like it sounds weird. I don't expect to really see maybe a full-on Justice Society one. I feel like they'll be like a merging, where they'll take probably, if I would think, would just be mainly Hawkman, because Black Adam feels like he's gonna be doing his own thing. But they would take Hawkman and throw him in there. Maybe have cameos of Tornado and Atom Smasher.
Atom Smasher, yeah.
Yeah, like because I feel those ones are kind of like they're kind of there for like this movie. Maybe you'll see them again, but I don't see them as being main characters. Not saying anything wrong with them. They're cool. But but Hawkman, I feel he's the kind of the catalyst almost in this movie, other than Black Adam. But Black Adam, I feel, is going to do his own thing. And Hawkman, you're going to start seeing him like he'll be like kind of in a sense how Aquaman was before Aquaman's kind of got to like, okay, everybody likes Aquaman again.
Yeah. What if it was one of those cases where it's just kind of like some? I know she never got her own solo movie, but what if it was one of those things like some Mystique bullshit? Like we got Mystique back. What we got? What's her name?
When they started making Mystique like way more of a main character than she should be,
because of Jennifer Lawrence became like a much bigger actor. So they
she became the world's biggest actress.
Yeah, so they started making Mystique a much bigger character than she really was ever in the comics. So I'm just imagining if they do something like if this actor becomes like something like he gets in a big movie and he becomes the next big star, and like, well, we got to put Hawkman in a fuck ton more things, and he's like pushing, like Henry Cavill's like, I'm back, he's like pushing him out of the way, spreads his wings but so you can't see Henry
just
Cavill,
covers his face. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those ones. But yeah, no, I like the Hawkman guy a lot, so I'm totally down for seeing that guy appear more. You know what I was actually kind of surprised, though, is Shazam never showed up in this movie. I expected him to come here at some point. So I thought that was kind of weird.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just thought that was kind of weird, because in a sense, this feels like, if before I saw this movie, I would have said this is technically like Shazam 2. You know what I mean? That's like, it's more like Shazam 1.5, I guess you would say. But it's like, I would have felt that would have been the in-between movie, and then there would have been a Shazam and Black Adam movie. And, according to the trailer that's before the movie of Shazam 2, has nothing really to do at all with that.
I'm wondering if they're going to do a very last minute thing where they cause I don't think Shazam's coming out until sometime next year. So I think late next year too. So I'm wondering if they're going to do a thing like, hey, Dwayne, can you come in for an afternoon? We're going to green screen you into like a post-credit scene or some shit,
Well, yeah, because I kind of wonder, because it's like, and then spoilers ahead here, the end of Black Adam is that who comes down to fight him? It's Superman, not Shazam almost in the sense. It'd be funny if Shazam shows up and then Superman just like slowly pushes him off screen.
Just like a gentle like push, like no. So over here.
Yeah.
Let the adults talk. Yeah.
Yeah, one of those kind of things, because. And that's the only thing that seems kind of weird. It's just almost like if you had like a Lex Luthor movie, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, he's gonna fight Superman at the end of the movie and something like that. It's like, oh no, he's not. He's fighting Batman instead. You're like, huh? Oh, okay. I mean, that's kind of interesting too. Don't be wrong. I mean, I know Black Adam's fought Superman just like how Shazam's fought Superman and so on. But I don't know if that's what it's just gonna lead up to this one where it's just gonna be this movie of like just Shazam, Black Adam, and Superman just all punching each other for like 2.5 hours.
Now I don't take this as me like talking shit on the director, the writer, or Dwayne Johnson. But the thing is, I feel like this movie, even though I enjoyed it, I feel like it's a little misguided in that way, because I know The Rock is too big of an actor to just pop up in someone else's movie as the villain by this point. However, I mean, I think that's more of a reasonable way to introduce Black Adam and to kind of have the villain overshadow essentially the main character of Shazam. Because this is, as far as I know, well, I'll be honest. I know very little about Shazam's side of things. I know
Yeah.
his three biggest villains that I know of are the Worm Thing, Mastermind, I think his name is.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the guy Mark Strong played in the first one, and Black Adam. Those are the villains I
Okay.
know of. And then I think Sabak might be a Shazam villain too, because I'm going to say Sabak. I didn't even realize. I mean, they said his name a few times, but it wasn't until I saw him. Like, oh, he's that guy. Because Sabak was the villain of like an arc in The Outsiders, and they had to get like, you know the kid on the crutches from Shazam who
Yes.
turns in. They had to get his help. He had to turn into the blue Shazam for like, I think
Okay.
Captain Marvel Jr. or whatever. I think they had to get his help to take down Sabak or some shit like that. And Sabak was the villain for an arc. So
Okay.
and I remember him being a little bit more of like a smartass, a little bit more like wittier. Granted, it's a book I read like 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah, Zach.
At the same time, though, I couldn't help but feel like it's like I am sort of I'm the villain, but I'm just kind of like I'm going into Jafar mode, you know?
Yeah, one of those ones there. As I said, like Shazam's one of those ones I more know of him from other stuff, and then I think the only book I've ever read was the Jeff Johns Shazam one. I remember reading that and go, it's pretty much just the movie. Well, that's they really just took that. So hey, retrace it here.
I have that book. I've yet to read it, but Shazam New 52 Volume 1.
Yeah, it's good, but literally it's the movie. So
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's probably like the slightly extended cut of the movie because it's probably got a little bit more in it. But I remember that I was like, oh, okay, you know. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like one of those ones where I always think it's a cool character. It's like no matter what, it's like so many things. It's like there's so many kind of cool characters, but there's only so much time to read so many of them and whatnot that you just never get around to deep diving into Shazam or Black Adam and all the old Captain Marvel stuff and so on.
Well, I'm kind of curious because this movie, I think it did good in the box office, and it's getting kind of like mixed reviews right now. That said, I'm kind of curious. I don't know if they're going to use this. They're not going to use this movie as a blueprint moving forward, but I think they are, given the positive reception to Henry Cavill and a lot of people like previous DC films that have come out recently. And then James Gunn brings a lot of faith to it. So I think people are starting to get more amped for DC again, hopefully, you know?
Yeah, well, the weird thing was when I saw this movie, I saw it on opening day, and it literally the theater was zero people in there. Now, granted, they had a crap ton of showings that day, and we saw it sort of in like the middle section. So like if let's just say a 4 o'clock was the first showing or 3 o'clock, like literally past that point, we saw it at like 7:30. So there was almost a showing like every half an hour or so.
Wow. Oof. Well, I mean,
But yeah, so I was like, wow, I don't think I've seen an opening movie that didn't have at least one other person in there. As I said, there was like 6 showings that day, so maybe everybody saw it on a different one. But
maybe. I mean, uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I mean, like I said, I enjoyed the movie, but something something else that stood out to the movie about to me was it enjoyable? Yes, but there's
yeah,
also some of these things like, come on, good superhero movies been coming out for a while now. We should be past this. And I feel like they sometimes like force feed you too much. Like they got to spell it out for you. It's just like, no, people fucking get it. Like the kid's like, hey everybody, come together. We as a country gotta unite. So let's do this. Let's skull fuck some zombies. And then like there's one guy. He saw in the background a few times, like, he's right. We can't let them take our city. Come on, gang, all together. Wu Tang, you know? And it's like.
yeah, well, and they do like the Zoltan. You know what I mean?
So it's like this thing of like, it's like out of nowhere, like, it's like, you don't trust the audience. They'll fucking get it, you know?
Yeah, I also like because the other thing I thought of too is when they're doing the symbol thing, they're like, yeah, Diamond Cutter, fucking DDP. Like, that was like what I was going for. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is the movie has some kind of like goofy old stuff in it. I think the overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's one of those ones where it's like, I mean, it's not one of those ones where I'm like, shit, I got to go get this day one it comes out. Maybe didn't enjoy it that much, but like, I was still like, you know what? It was a pretty solid movie. The action was always good. Story was decent enough and everything like that. Had some cool characters in it. You know, it's not one of those ones that's gonna be a groundbreaking. It wasn't like The Batman or something like that, which was like, no, that was pretty darn solidly good. But like, still was fun and I enjoyed it. And I just look forward to, you know, Shazam 2 and whatever comes next from this. And Superman versus Black Adam, which seems like it'd be hopefully Man of Steel 2, 3. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, don't even make that the premise of the movie. I think the second you say the movie is going to be, I mean, you could do like for a minute, the Suicide Squad was going to be the Suicide Squad versus Superman. And that alone is a cool concept. They said, you know what, we just wanted to make it more personal than just spectacle. So we made the movie we made instead. But I still think that could work. But I think, I mean, because I like Batman v Superman, but it's not really that great of a movie when it gets down to it. It's really flawed. And it's because you're coming in like the movie is Batman versus Superman. Like it shouldn't be building up to Batman versus Superman. They should be working together. They could bump into each other at the beginning being fuck you, and they fight. And then they're like, wait, why are we doing this? We need to work together. Okay. And then the rest of the movie is they're make it like more or less Superman, Batman, public enemies or some shit. You know, Lex Luthor doesn't have to be in prison or be the president. He could still put a bounty on them and they're still going after him or whatever. But at the exact same time, that movie, it's like, I like that movie, but I know it's really flawed. And I think the second you say the concept for this movie is this character fights that character, like, well, is there more to it than that? And I think that Superman's big triumphant return should not be he's fighting someone from another franchise. It should be he's fighting Brainiac. He's fighting like Livewire. He's fighting Lobo, you know?
Yeah, it should be a Superman movie in a sense, you know? So we'll see how that all kind of goes, you know, at the end of the day. It's one of those ones. But, I mean, even if that's, but it's just, it probably will be something where Shazam and Superman have to work together. That's what I'm almost kind of guessing. They might fight in the beginning, and that's the intro of the movie. That's like the 007 intro. And then they go from there, but you never know. Hopefully it doesn't, that's just not all the movie is, but not saying it can't be good, but you never know.
Yeah. No, I liked it, and I look forward to where DC goes from here, you know?
But yeah, good stuff along the way. Shit, still got the DCU fucking, the new Batman Gotham Knights game to play. It's like, DC is just like, hey, all at once. Empty your wallet right here, all at once.
And open your fucking mouth.
Yeah, open your mouth. Stupid game. Like I remember, I was like, "Oh, sweet, I'm gonna play," and then it was like, it still was like, "God damn it, Xbox just not installing it right away." It's like, "Oh, we installed some other games for you instead." No. But well, yeah, still got to get that 7 gigs of data off that disk that's taking longer than it should. But thank you. Hopefully, it'll be ready by tonight. But still,
we'll try. We'll try. We're trying really hard.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones like that. If there's one slight flaw to the Xbox, it just sometimes just isn't fast enough about installing stuff. Where like the PlayStation, like my PS4 can literally install a game like when I'm not even looking at the system. You know what I mean? I'd be like, PS4, go in the app, install this game. When I turn it on, it's ready. Cool, awesome. I didn't have to watch you like a fucking child. Make sure you're doing the right one. Now, don't install something else. What are you doing? You know. But,
I just imagine inside your Xbox, there's like one small man in there, and there's like eight other desks, and everyone else is on lunch break, and he's running around like answering all the phones. Like, I know, it's coming. Okay, we're trying.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things, you know. But yeah, DCU's giving out all kinds of stuff. You know, I guess after this, maybe it'll be like a little bit of a hiatus, and we'll see what next is for the DCU Animated stuff. But definitely, I think check out Super Sons and Black Adam. I both thought those ones were very fun, very action-packed, good times to be had.
Yep.
And beyond all that fun stuff, go to oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comic books like Pizza Boys, all our old animations, and that other fun stuff. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.